am Negan.
I am Negan.
What's up, people? This is it. Fear the Walking Dead, Season 6, Episode 11, The Holding. This was a badass episode. I enjoyed this episode. Damn, man. It's like, this is, it felt great. It felt great. This is a type of episode. Remember when Walking Dead would do those hour and a half long episodes? It's like a few seasons back where they did that. Maybe they were just trying to condense or do something, but they were an hour and a half long. This could have gone 2 hours, 3 hours. I don't give a shit. 5 freaking hours. I love this episode, and I love this episode for a main reason. But before I do that, real quick, I'm Adam Vale. I'm joined by Richard Bailey Jr.
Hey, what's up, listeners?
And we are from the Koalition.com. Go check it out. Koalition. And thanks again, everybody, for the subs, for the views, the follows on Spotify, iTunes, all of that. That's great. It's all great because it shows we're not the only ones that are still supporting The Walking Dead. And that's what this is. If you're new to this, I Am Negan is a TWD Universe podcast. We're covering all of the TV shows, and if they come up with another comic book, we'll bring that up too. But we're definitely following this product to the end, and I don't think it's ever going to end. Does it ever have to end? Think about it. It really doesn't. Just keep introducing new groups, right? Just keep this going. I mean, end World Beyond. That needs to go, but everything else, it's gravy. All right, people. So, right off the bat, we also, if you're new, this is Spoilercast right here. We are going to go deep in this episode. If you're like, but wait, I haven't seen it yet. Well, you can go on AMC Plus. It's there. They released a few days early. You can go and watch it and then come back and hear us just discuss this in depth because it was awesome. It was an awesome episode, right? Or you just wait till Sunday and then come back. But yeah, definitely check this episode out. So I'm going to go into spoiling and countdown. 3, 2, 1. And Rich, we got it. You ready?
We got one!
Boom! We got a cult. We got ourselves a cult. I'm so excited. The Holding, the title of the show. You know, I love a good cult. Like, we haven't had one on this show. We had Doomsday Preppers. We've had, Marauders, gangs, you name it. Those things. But a real Jim Jones, Jonestown cult. And that's what this episode is. That was about, and that's what this group, The Holding, it's a cult. Once you see them underground, they show that they have their whole community. They're doing their food processing, which we'll get into, which is kind of gross. But hey, how they're putting their meals together and stuff. But you hear on the intercom just the rants of a madman, pretty much. I knew it was just cult ranting, talking about life and what they're doing and this and that. And the end is the beginning and all of that. We get it. And that's something that Jim Jones did at Jamestown. That's all they heard all day long while they were working and doing whatever in the community. It's a constant brainwashing. And that's what he's doing here, as we find out named Teddy. But man, when I saw this, I almost jumped out of my seat. I was like, this is what I want. This is it. I want craziness. We got some crazy cults in Walking Dead proper. And in fact, they sort of, what always upset me is when they came across the, man, I forgot the name of the cult, but it was the most famous scene that we all remember where the troughs were for the pigs, and they had a few of the members, Rick and all of them, with their heads over it, and they were whacking them on the side of the head and bleeding them out, remember? Cutting their throats like pigs. And that was a cult. But it was, and they were eating people. That's when they found out that they were eating people that came by and stuff. And I was like, all right, that was cool. But it was really quick. It wasn't something long lasting throughout the season. Now this, I think, is going to remain from this point to the end and maybe beyond. Because this is going to be, I think this is going to be a big deal right here. So right off the bat, what did you think when you saw that this was a cult? The way they had their setup, and real quick, I'll just bring up the setup. It's underground, so we got Dakota was right. It really was underground. How they came about stumbling was kind of weird because we see Alicia, we see Lucy, and Al and Wes, and they just elevator door opens. They're underground, and we're like, oh, all right, we found you on the road. We're introduced to Riley. He's like the welcome committee to this cult, and this is the only little gripe I had with this because it's like, oh well. This is where we bring in all our new people, and this is, oh, you're just gonna accept these randos that you picked up? I mean, there's no interrogation, there's none of that going on, and he's like, come on, I'm gonna give you the tour and the whole thing. But right off the bat, what did you think just from the opening and from this cult?
Well, I would say that I was very satisfied. I know that we've been wondering who is this the end is the beginning group, and now that Virginia is no longer in the picture, I kind of feel like you have to raise the stakes and make this the bigger threat that even she was worried about. So I mean, I was very glad to see this because I know in the last episode, at the end of the episode, that was when they had decided, okay, we have to go underground. We didn't see anything regarding that process for them to go underground, and then this episode just starts, and then you see you're meeting this new group for the first time. So. Yeah. Totally fine with the editing. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I guess they could not show everything, but I was totally fine with that. And again, yeah, I'm happy because I wanted to see them introduce this group. But the way they started the episode of you looking from their point of view, I think that was smart because, yeah, it's just trying to give you a perspective. But there's still more we have to learn about this group.
Oh, yeah. Because in that opening, right before we see our cast members, we just hear Teddy, which is the cult leader, through the intercom. And we see everybody just working, and they're working on plants and doing their thing, and they're making meals. And it's just, it's a community. It's a cult. This is it. So there wasn't much. But then at this point, so we're introduced to Riley, and he's all friendly right now. Hey, welcome, guys. Come on, let's take a look. And he gives them a tour. He shows them how they take the walkers and they just grind them up. And they take their bones out and they use the rest pretty much just to grow crops. I mean, yeah, he's right. He was like, oh, well, this is how nature does it above. This is just how it's done. So, yeah, we get it with, like, you don't get sick. He's like, no, everything is fine. We just, clean it out. All right, I'd like to know the cleaning process, but later we do find out some of it. But yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool to see this whole setup that they had, this whole community. And then, of course, he starts showing some of the artwork. And that's where we see with the end is the beginning. And it's all over the place. We see the tree. And we see that they have like a somewhat live piece of artwork with this skulls. And there's a walker attached to like this structure thing. And they're like, oh, do you see this? I was like, well, yeah, I see. It was like, no, you don't really see. But we're going to make you see. The cult talk. So... Mm-hmm. They're doing that whole thing. So right there, right off the bat, this location looks interesting. And I'm surprised that what we get to toward the end of how it just goes bye-bye. Because I wanted to see more of this. And hopefully we will. Hopefully we will get to see some more of what happens down here. But it was definitely interesting to see this whole pan out, this whole layout. But that's when they start saying, well, who's on the speakers and what's going on? It's like, oh, Teddy. Teddy is our leader. Oh, where's Teddy? I was like, oh, well, he's above ground. So we'll see him. Shortly he'll come back. And then eventually you see the elevator doors come down and they open. And who is it? Oh, well, it's a group. And one of them is Wes's brother, Derek, that he hasn't seen. Now, some people like Derek. I don't know Derek. Yeah, you're right. No one knows Derek. Derek was not part of anything else. He was just part of what Wes would always talk about. I was like, yeah, I don't know where my brother is. I lost him, the whole thing. And then just to jump in just to their story, because that's the thing. There's a lot of little side pieces, so we can just focus right now on this part of it. Is they reunite, they're happy, they're thrilled. Derek tells him the whole situation, what happened, that he went scavenging for some stuff, and some walkers attacked, and he went hiding and fell under something and passed out, and these people found him. They found him and they brought him in, and that was it. And he was like, oh, wow, that's great. And he looks around, he sees all the artwork, and he's like, yeah, you're doing this. And he's like, yeah, I'm doing this. Is it good? So I don't remember Wes being an artist or doing something, but he says that he got it from Wes. He's like, I know you used to do it, so I started doing it, and
Yeah.
that's my whole thing. And oh, Teddy's really cool, and everything is really cool, and you'll soon understand, and we'll get into all of that. But he seemed very happy, and I don't know. What were your thoughts when you saw Derek?
Well, it's a situation where when you watch these shows after a while that if anything good happens to a character, it possibly means either that character is going to die or whatever good that happened is eventually going to go away. So when I saw him reunite with his brother, I said, okay, so what is the catch? Because the way they played the episode from the very beginning, when they introduced the group that we are familiar with, they're the ones that are, coming into the holding for the very first time. So obviously, Riley, who is the guy that's, pretty much leading the group, he's thinking that they're coming there in a means to work together and to just become a part of that community. But obviously they have an ulterior motive. We know from the last episode is that they want to come down, learn as much intel as they can about them, and then they can strike against them.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that Al had mentioned, and they were like, all right, listen, we're going to get all the information we need, and then we're going to get out of here. And I don't know how they thought they were going to do that. But it's just like, hey, thanks for showing us your underground base now. We got to go. We'll be back tomorrow, and maybe we'll hang out. No, because they even said, they were like, you can't leave. And you came at a great time because we're about to shut everything down.
Exactly.
And that was one of the things that Riley meant. So real quick, just to close up on this part of this, when Wes is talking about his life and Darren is doing the same thing, talking about how great everything is down here and the people and all this stuff, he's just not buying it. He's like, Wes is telling him something's not right. None of this makes sense. And he starts talking about some of the things that he's been through up top. And Darren knew about Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
He knew about all of that, and he was like, "Oh, that's done. She's dead." And we're with Morgan, and Morgan's great, and you can come with us, and you don't need to be here. And he was like, "What? No, this is not happening. No. I love it here. These are my peoples." So we'll get more into that, but that was the gist of that little segment there of what was going on. But it's complicated because yes, this is your sibling. And you have that blood is thicker than water type of thing. But at no point did I feel that Wes was going to drink the Kool-Aid and be like, well, my brother's part of a cult, so I'll join too. I did not get that vibe at all. So I was like, there's no way when they were doing this whole thing. And I figured they were going to try to make it seem like Derek was going to convince Wes to jump aboard. Because no, he at no point did he even hint that was a possibility. And then at the same time, we also have Alicia in it's sort of like an interrogating room, right? With Riley, he sets up a tape, he puts the mic, he says, all right, I'm going to start asking you questions. Now, we find out that he does this to everyone there. And we've seen these type of setups before. And the key part of this, for me, was some of the responses that Alicia gave. Because usually when they bring up certain characters, it's because something's going to happen. Maybe they're going to return. And so he starts asking about, right, where are you from? What were you doing on the road? It's just looking around, scavenging. That's what we do. We don't really have anything. And he was like, where's your family? The whole thing. He was like, my brother's dead. And, my mom, she sacrificed herself. She didn't say dead. That was the key. She didn't say dead. She said she sacrificed for us to get away and the whole thing. And so right there, that sort of plants the seed that maybe Kim Dickens, the actress that played Madison, is coming back. We've heard the rumors that she says she wants to come back. That just could be PR speak. I mean, no actor really shuts down any door, right? And you never know, especially now with the way Hollywood and everything is going. But from what I understand, they were upset that she wanted to leave the show. She was their lead. And they were really hoping to keep building around her. And when she decided to depart for whatever reasons, they weren't thrilled by it. But hey, you know what? Anything can happen. People water under the bridge. You got to do what's best for business, right? And I think it would be great business if she was to come back in some way. So she spills the beans on all of that stuff that's going on, but it doesn't give too much. And then she's also given the tour, and she sees that whole statue. It's like everybody has to go in front of that live sculpture with this walker. Yeah, right. And I was waiting for because you see all these bones. I'm like, all right, are they feeding this thing? What's going on here? Why we're seeing this? And eventually we find out why. But right off the bat, it was all right. But anything you want to add to any of that stuff with Alicia? Did you think that this was hinting about the mom, or I'm just looking?
Oh yeah, I think 100% on the money. It was hinting about the mom because of the response, and something else that we'll get into a little bit later. But yeah, I thought this is exactly what they needed to do from a strategy standpoint to figure out what is this group about, just so they can get all the information they need so that they can use it against them. Now, obviously, I don't think they planned how they were going to exit, which we will also get into later. But yeah, for the most part, I thought this is what they had to do to appear as though they wanted to become part of the group when really they're trying to take them down.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and speaking of that whole exit thing, we don't have a sense of time, and I always get on that about time. It was like, and they even said, it was like, oh yeah, and he sort of brings it up, Derek, when they were sitting around eating, they were getting a meal. And he says, yeah, we don't get a lot of light here. We don't, go topside. We lose sense of time. But hey, we got great food. Let's have this meal. And that's when they start plotting of like, all right, we got to get out of here, do the whole thing. And so that's when we see them in the elevator. When they go, I guess they're going to go get another piece of tour. I don't know exactly why they all got into the elevator with Derek, but it's at that point, or did they force him into the elevator? When Alicia grabs the pistol and just pistol whips him in the head.
Yeah. They were all in the elevator together, and then that was when they grabbed him.
That's why I was just trying to figure out where were they going. That's because
they was trying. Well, at that point, I think they were trying to escape because they figured they had some intel, but then they got stopped by Riley and company as soon as they tried to exit the elevator.
Yeah, because I think it was a little bit before this when yes, oh, that's right. There was a little scene right before this, after they had the little meal and he got called away. Derek got called away, and it was like, hey, they were talking to Wes. And I was like, hey, do you know where his bunk is? It's like, yeah, I know, it's over there. And no one else is watching them, right? Why watch these four new people that just whatever? But they wander off into the bunk area, and they just start searching. You would think with a community, a bunch of people like, those new people, anyways, security said, look what they're doing, but whatever. And then they find all these plans, and it's like schematics. I mean, they were plotting all this, and he sees that it was his brother. And remember, we kept seeing the writing of the end is the beginning, then the beginning. That's when he sees that his brother was over at Tanktown when he got attacked and was blown up. Yep. Because he had talked about that. He was like, oh, things were great, but, I got attacked and this and that, these people. And it's like, no, there's a motive for everything. I didn't know anything. I didn't know you were there. I didn't even know what was going on. Clearly, it's all BS. That was all bull. Yep. Mm-hmm. Right? So they gather all this information. Somewhere within that time, they get a hold of Derek, pistol whip him. They're in the elevator, like, all right, you're coming with us. We're leaving. And as soon as the doors open up top, we see Riley with some of the other guards there. I was like, yeah, that's it. We're done. We're going back down. And this is where it gets interesting. This is where you expect it to get interesting. Because he takes them into a room. And I love how Al just knows things. So there's drums, and then there is a smell. And I guess because she has to represent, she's for the audience, just to fill in the blanks. And one of the things is like when we're watching, it's like, oh, what's these chemicals and what are they pumping? And she answers like, oh, this is embalming fluid. I recognize the smell. Oh, okay, all right, now we see what they're going to do here. Mm-hmm. And they start asking questions like, all right, we know you want to leave this and that. And I was like, where's Morgan?
Yep.
Now you had texted me this. It's like, why do they care about Morgan? And I don't think it's so much about Morgan as to the whole idea behind this cult, the holding, is that, like Riley had said in his ramblings with when he was telling Alicia, it's like, it's all about the cleansing. And even Derek had said this. It's like everything topside has to be cleansed, and we have to start anew. We can't live that life anymore. This is a new life. Living under here is going to be the new life. So It's a little confusing with all of that because you're letting new people in, so clearly you're interested in bringing more people, but yet at the same time you're saying that you're gonna go up topside and kill everybody. So
Yeah.
why do that? Why not just weed them out, talk to them? If they've been watching, which it looks like they have been watching, and maybe they were just playing dumb when he said, "Oh, not knowing about Virginia dying," and then again, no, maybe he wasn't because that was behind closed doors at Morgan's camp. But still, he knows that Morgan has a camp somewhere, right? He knows that that's happening, and there's another group. Now, he didn't say anything about Lofton, and he didn't say anything about Sherry's crew or anything. It's Morgan.
Yep.
So he definitely wants him out of the picture. We still don't know Teddy. We haven't seen Teddy yet at this point. But anyway, they want answers. So you got to fill in the blanks. We're going to do this. And what are you going to do? Well, we're going to put you in this drum. I'm going to fill you up with embalming. We're going to do this one by one. So what did you think of this? Was this a tense moment? Did you think at any point one of these members was going to die?
Oh no. I mean, the way that the show has been so far, yeah, somebody could have died, but if anyone would have died in this episode, I figured maybe it was going to be Wes because I know the beginning graphic had his silhouette in it. Mm-hmm. And normally, whenever they have a show where it has a silhouette of a character, the episode is about that character, and something happens to that character. It's just they're the focal point of the episode. So I figured if somebody was going to die, it was going to be Wes. But when he had decided that he was not going to join the other group, I figured, okay, well, that's not he should be fine. But yeah, once this went down, I was also I was curious to see how they were going to get out of this. One point that I did want to make is that in the whole thing about them asking about Morgan, I don't know what the plan is for that, but I was thinking to myself, if it could be because they are threatened that Morgan is trying to start this new community up top, and knowing how Morgan and the group were prior to having to deal with Virginia, where they kept spreading the word about trying to find people, that is the only way I could think of as to why they want Morgan, because they think that it's their way or the highway. But part of me is also hoping that maybe in the past, Morgan might have crossed paths with somebody important to their group, and he killed that person. Mm-hmm. And now Morgan is a completely different person right now, but that other person he killed is still gone. So that's why they want to come after him. I mean, I'm not sure what the long-term plan is with that, but yeah. I guess we're going to get answers in the next couple episodes.
Yeah, and then at this point, that's when Derek jumps in and was like, "Hold on, let me talk to Wes. Let me get this going."
Yep.
He's like, "I think I could flip him. And then he takes him over to the zombie wall there, the zombie live artwork there, and starts talking again about this whole thing. He was like, "Oh, we got to do this and blah blah blah. Come on, this is gonna be great." And that's when Wes was like, "You knew that I was there." Mm-hmm. You knew because he saw the documents, he saw the papers. Like, you knew all this, and he was like, "Well, gotta do what you gotta do." It's like he's picking the cult over family, and that's when Wes reaches down for the pistol that Derek has at his wayside. They start fighting, and it's like it looks like at one point in the end, like, that's what I was thinking. I was like, "Oh, this is when Wes is gonna get shot. This is it. Mm-hmm. This was going to happen, and it's going to get crazy." But no, they start struggling with this gun, and they get closer and closer to that live walker that's attached to the structure, and the walker just takes a nice big bite out of Derek's shoulder there, and booyaka, right? He's down. So Wes takes a gun and says, "Well, I'm not going to let my brother turn into a walker," and he shoots him.
Yep.
So then we get Riley hears the shot, and that was the other thing. I was like, well, I get it, what you want to do, but you should also know that once you take that shot, everyone's going to hear it.
Oh, yeah.
So now you're going to have problems as opposed to just saying, you know what, whatever, let them deal with it when he turns into a walker. I got to get my people, and we're getting out of here. But whatever, he does the shot, Riley hears it, he says, "Go check it out." And then that's from the next scene. But the whole thing from this, what did you think? Did you think this is how it was going to go down? Or did you think that Derek was actually going to just change. Because at first, I'm gonna admit, when he took him out to talk to him, at first I thought he was gonna say, "All right, listen, we're gonna come up with a plan. We're gonna get out of here together." But no, that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case. What did you think of Derek's motives?
Well, honestly, I must admit that I'm very surprised that there was no one else on that top floor when they had their struggle with the gun. I guess everybody
Oh
was
yeah. I don't know. I
downstairs.
don't know where the hell these people. I mean, they must have a very small community. And I know some people are like, well, the COVID and the actors, and you don't want to have a. And maybe if this was not the situation with the pandemic, we would have had a full room, a full community, so we could see it.
Yeah,
But still, I don't think so, because then what? They would all tackle West down. So
yeah. So this obviously was very traumatic for Wes's character. To you reunite with your brother, and then literally in the span of what felt like a couple hours later, you have to kill him. So that's that was pretty traumatic. So I guess obviously if there was some other people up there, I guess you would lose that because then they would get involved. So I understand the decision. I just thought I thought there was a lot more people that would be on that floor in reality, and they would see, wait a second, this guy is struggling over there. We need to get involved with this. But yeah, I figured that was going to end badly. Like I said earlier on the show, that because just because something good happens to a character, that doesn't mean that they're going to have a happy ending, because this is the apocalypse. So I was, it's unfortunate for that to happen. But yeah, just as you said, obviously everybody was going to hear that gun go off. So that I don't know if that was well thought out, but that was just a quick reaction to what went down.
And I guess, I mean, I have siblings. You have siblings. We have brothers. That's a hard thing to do right on the spot. It's just like, I'm going to shoot. And he's just, regardless of the situation, I don't know if I would have been able to pull that trigger. I probably would have like, you know what, I'll just let you turn. I just can't. Because that sticks with you forever.
Oh, yeah.
Something that if you would have pulled that off. But whatever. It was done. And so he does use the gun again, in a way. Because he gets back to where the others are being held near the drums. And when they open up the door, because they're getting ready to go investigate, boom, he's there with the gun. And he's pointing it at Riley. He's like, this is it. We're getting out of here. And he starts maneuvering. Come on, everybody. Let's go. Let's go. And they go into another room. And he pushes them through the door. And then they close the door behind them. So, which I found kind of odd, because you don't know if you just put yourself in a closet. You know what I mean? Like, they all walk through the door. Mm-hmm. It's dark. And then they close the door behind them, pushing Riley. I was thinking maybe you want to keep him as a hostage. Make sure you get out. You don't know what's above ground. You don't know the situation.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Whatever. That's not how this panned out. Now, again, we're trying to figure out, because they don't really show, but I'm assuming this is still in that parking garage topside, right? Because when they do eventually get out, we see light. So they're no longer underground. So he came back up, and this is all happening on the top side in the parking garage. Because I think later on, even Morgan says that we're going to have to go back to the garage.
Yep, that's correct.
We just have to assume that that's what's going on. Got to figure it out for ourselves, people. So anyway, close the door, and then this is where we get a cool scene. You gotta always have a cool, whether a walker or some kind of good set piece. They have a lot of great scenes with the cinematography in Fear the Walking Dead and Walking Dead proper. They pull it off. There, you see a bunch of these. We would still call them walkers, but they've all been embalmed. So they don't look like they've been decayed, and they're chained with their hands above their heads on pipes above, and they're just hanging there. And their mouths have been sewed shut. Great visuals. I think this is great for TV. This was fun to see, because now they have to get through these walkers that are hanged up like this to get to the other end, to the other door. But I was thinking, well, what's the point of doing this? Why did they do that? Is this just a torture thing? Like, we know that they were going to try to do that to these people, but why do they keep them around?
That's a good question.
That's the thing. We don't know. That wasn't. It would have been great. And I know some people are like, well, how do you expect that to be answered? Well, they could have had that really quick when Riley was showing them the drums, and it was maybe when Al was like, I know what that smells. That's embalming. He could have said, you're right, and this is what we do. We're going to embalm. You know what I mean? Like, just put that in so we can use our imagination and see it, and then when we jump into this room, actually see it. Like, wow, that is exactly how I envisioned it, and this is horrible. So I guess if you piss them off, you end up in this room. So they're getting through the room. They're like, all right, because we're hearing Riley and all of them. They're like, we got to break this door down. We got to get in there. And so they're like, well, we got to navigate through. Their mouths are sewn shut, so we should be fine. And as they're going through, we see that one of them has a helmet on, a pilot helmet. And we didn't get any slow music and sad song or whatever, because usually that's when you start setting up the mood. Because the first thing I'm thinking, I was like, uh-oh. And it's the same thing that we saw here. Al was thinking, oh, this is her love interest. This is that girl that she fell in love with, the pilot. Mm-hmm. It's like somewhere along the lines, they caught her. And she's, obviously wouldn't work with them. And so they strung her up, and here she is. But the visor was down, so you couldn't see. So while everybody's pushing forward, she goes off and like, hey, Al, what are you doing? What are you doing? And she lifts up the visor, and relief. It's not the girl. But she shanks her. I don't know where she got that weapon. That's the other thing. You see her. She shanks her, the hanging walker. I don't know how she did it, where she got it, whatever. She did it. So they're getting through, and she smells the embalming fluid all over them. She was like, they're full of it, and that's flammable. So let's cause a distraction so we can get out of here. It's like, all right. So they get to the end, and they see that there's a door, and they can get out. You see light coming, so they're about to leave, and there's like, wait a minute, no, we're going to light this up. So they start cutting up all the bodies. You see all the guts, everything spewing out, got embalming fluid all over the place. And Alicia was like, all right, go. Everybody just get out. Go. All right, so they're like, you sure? It's like, yeah, go. And then, poof, she lights the fire. And we see a big blaze, and that's it. We cut back. The crew, the West and Al and Lucy, they're now with Morgan back at the camp, and it's filling him in. Everything that happened. They're like, yeah, we did this, we did that. That's crazy. His brother died. Did you see that? Oh my God. I'm just assuming, I'm still waiting for West to start crying. Not one damn tear. This dude is hardcore. He don't care. He's not getting emotional or anything. He just killed his brother, but whatever. So they're trying to figure this out, and it was like, oh, and they have the documents. And I said, look, they know about everything, and they know about you. They want to take you out. Do you know anything? What's your beef with them? He's like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. And so Dakota walks over and she's like, well, if you're gonna go back, because they need to save Alicia or see if she's alive. And that's when Morgan had mentioned, well, we got to go back to the parking garage then, because that's where it is. Maybe she's over there. Maybe she was hiding. Who knows? And Dakota was like, hey, I told you guys about this. I want to be part of it. She was great to me while you were all poo-pooing on me. She loved me. I'm just filling in. She wants to do this. So they were like, all right, we'll come up with a plan. All right, we got to come up with a plan. We'll figure this out. And then that's when Al sort of fills in a little bit with Dwight. He was like, you know what? I saw someone that looked like her, pilot thing, but you know what? We need her help, because look at all these locations. They know where all these other communities are. And so if we can get this the pilot woman involved, then she can help notify all the other groups that, hey, you got the crazies are coming for you. And he was like, yeah, all right, well, remember you have the walkie-talkie, so maybe just get on that frequency. And I was like, when I heard that, I know some people are like, all right, whatever, who cares? This tells me that we're going to see other groups.
Yep.
That's it. We're definitely going to see. Yep.
And I think that was a Easter egg to let you know that, yes, this is connected to the other shows, because this group, I believe we saw this group in World Beyond.
Correct. It's the same group, yeah.
And they are not good people either. So I'm very curious to see how exactly. It would be interesting if all of this time they're concerned about this group when they should be worried about that group.
And we heard, I don't know if it was a rumor or if one of the showrunners had confirmed this, but that there was going to be some connection. They didn't want to say a crossover, but some connection. It could definitely be. But remember that group, and I'm blanking on their name. There's like the Republic or something like that.
The Civic
Republic.
Or something
That also carries over into Walking Dead proper.
Yep.
Because remember, those are the same ones that whiffed and took Rick off away to a far off land when the bridge exploded. It was like, we could only save one, and we're taking Rick. So, yeah, they're across all the shows. So, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. And then also to see the other groups, because she was like, yeah, well, we need their help to notify the others. So, I'm curious. We know it's got the Fear the Walking Dead, and it's been picked up for season 7. Now, the only thing that concerns me with all of this is that AMC renews this show season by season. Now, this is their show. They have the rights to everything. Why not just put like a 2-year deal, or a 3-year deal, so that way we know. And I think it would work out better story-wise, because then the showrunners can be like, all right, well, let's write something out. Get the writers. Let's do some long-term planning on this.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be around 2-3 years. I think AMC knows it's been doing solid numbers for what it is. It's not a high budget. The sets aren't dramatic. It doesn't have high special effects. You got great makeup, obviously, for the walkers and stuff. But overall, the cost is kind of low. And so, I don't see this going away anytime soon. It really doesn't need to. They never put big names. And I know some people are like, oh, Norman Reedus. Well, Norman Reedus, he did Boondock Saints, and then what? Blade, he wasn't doing much until he got on Walking Dead, and then he blew up. And yes, he's a big name now. He's making, $10 million or something like that they picked him up for. But besides that, they don't have big names. Well, then again, we got Jeffrey Dean Morgan. That was a big deal when he came over, So, yeah, maybe I'll retract that statement. All right. But here we go. So now we go back to the area, to the holding, the underground, and we see that Alicia is in a room, and she's there with Riley and with another of the goons, I want to say, the little guards, and he was like, all right, well, this is it. We're going to tie you up. We're going to do this and that, and you're going to get I don't know if he said the embalmed. I don't think he did, but then maybe he did. I don't know. Do you remember that? Did he say he was going to embalm her?
Yeah, I believe that they was going to do that.
That was the plan, right? All right.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, because I sort of blanked on that because I kept focusing on the scenery because I was looking at the room. I was like, oh my God, this is kind of cool. Got a lot of cool props here. And then all of a sudden, Riley leaves, and Alicia was like, you know what? This is season 6? I've been fighting throughout this, and I'm going to keep fighting now. Here we go. And they fight it out. She's not going out like a chump. She's like, let's throw down. And she does it. And you always have to have a cool kill in every episode of Walking Dead. Doesn't matter what show. And this was it. She takes that embalming nozzle and just sticks it right in his throat. Like, oh, yeah, suck on this, sucker. And he's dead. He's dead. So Riley and them come back, and they're like, oh, what's going on? How could you do this? And the whole thing. And then we see Teddy. Teddy walks in. Now, here's the thing. Because Riley, I guess it was just the way he said it so fast. But at first, I thought that Riley was a girl. That it was going to be a woman. Because the way he said, oh, Riley's back. And he's like, and wait till she. And I thought he said she. And I was like, oh, this is it. This is it. This is going to be the big reveal. And it's going to be that it's her mother. The mother is in charge of this. This is her group. Go crazy. But no, it's some other dude. This is Teddy. He's wearing a light suit, typical cult with the beard and the whole thing. And he's like, oh, hi. Oh, I'm extremely upset at what you did. You put all this work, years of work, and you just burnt it all down. It's like, well, did she? I don't know. I mean, we know the garage and all that, but that was topside. That was up there. I don't know I don't know. He made it seem like it was ruined.
Well, let me just say one point real fast. That to me also was something that, once again, like they didn't show them going into the underground area. They didn't show what happened after she set that fire in that room. So I was curious, well, how did you survive this? What
Yeah.
was the extent of the damage? We didn't see any of that. So that's
Yeah, how did they get to her? Because she started the fire and she was right next to the exit door with the rest of the group. She could have just ran out.
and also, if you recall, when they as they were trying to knock the door down, all of that, some of that fluid was like on the ground right outside the door, and someone was standing right in that. So I guess I would assume that person wasn't impacted when the fire
No,
started spreading. But that's we don't. I guess not, because we didn't see any of that.
no, we did not. We did not. Now, so he starts spewing this whole thing, and she said, "Just shut up." She's like, "This is your was it what is the I wrote this down because I like this." Oh, so you're the king of the crazies. I love that. That should have been the name of this episode, King of the Crazies. You know what? I want that on a T-shirt. That's it. We're gonna sell it at Koalition.com, King of the Crazy T-shirts. We're gonna get right to that because I don't think they're gonna do it. That's gonna be an awesome shirt right there, King of the Crazies. And he starts laughing about it, typical cult stuff. Like, no, we're good. We're the good people. You just need to be woken. That's all. That type of deal. We need Matt Hardy to come back with his gimmick and then just bring that. Mm-hmm. But he said, yeah, most people would be upset with something like this, furious, but not me. We can work something out. I know the story with your mom and all this, and I think everything could be resolved. We can work something out. Something to that effect. And it just didn't, I don't know. It didn't really make sense. I mean, did anything else happen? Because right after that, it's just over. Like, he's just staring at her. And nothing else happens. It just fades black and it's over. So clearly they're going to do something with her. But we don't know.
Yeah. I mean, he thinks he can convert her. The thing of interest is that he mentioned about the mother once again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That like he knows everything that happened with her and her mother and stuff. So that's why it would lead you to believe that, okay, maybe the mother is still alive to some extent.
Yeah, definitely. When I heard that with the mother, same thing. I was thinking, this is it. He knows something. He knows that she's alive. But then he had said, I listened to the tapes with Riley, and she had mentioned the mother. Mm-hmm. And he said, I played that tape over and over again. So that way I feel like I know you, that type of thing. And he was just trying to tell you, he was like, you have everything that we need, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, he's going to try to brainwash her and do that whole thing. I don't think it's going to work unless he does produce the mom in someone. Because that's the one fact. We know Travis, the dad, dead. We saw that happen in a helicopter. Nick, we saw him turn dead. Not happening. That's the only one. The mom. Madison, that's the only one we know that is not dead. And if she does come back to the show, if Kim Dickens has come up, that would be great. I don't care how they do it. I think it would be cool. I always thought, obviously it was all about contracts and other things going on, but it wasn't a good way for her to go. And the fact that they didn't kill her off, who knows? Maybe that's why they didn't do it. The traditional, she got bit and we see her turn and that whole thing. And we've seen people come back that should be dead. Look at Daniel. Got shot in the face, house set on fire. It's like, nope, he's cool. He's back. So anything is possible in this universe. So overall, I like this episode. I like where they're going with this. I would have liked to see more of this set, but hey, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. It would have been great if they would have at least just said numbers of how many are in this group here, because that's another thing. We didn't hear anything about the numbers. We didn't learn anything new about the keys. Remember the keys that they would collect?
I remember that.
The whole thing with the submarine when we first were introduced to the end is the beginning. Remember, we saw that. We don't know anything else. So a lot of questions, but you know what? We're going to get all these answers, I'm assuming, as this progresses throughout the remainder of this season here. But I enjoyed it. I love a good cult. Cult people are crazy, and then we got these followers, and they always do crazy things, and we may see some Unabombers and all kinds, and it's going to be nuts. I think it's just going to be crazy. I'm looking forward to it. And Riley, we were talking about this before we started. That I know him from that actor from Carnival, and you recognized him from, what was it you said? You said you recognized, was it you said it was Terminator.
Oh yeah, Terminator 3. Yep, it's the same actor.
Yeah.
He played John Connor in Terminator 3.
Yeah, all right. So Nick, that was his name. That's all right. So, oh yeah, but Carnival, man, I love that. People need to see that. That's also on HBO
And
Max. Go watch that Carnival. Such a well. You were gonna say something?
oh no, and I was gonna say yeah, he also played Yellow Bastard in Sin City.
Ah yes, yellow bastard. You bet. So yeah, he's gonna play a major part. Clearly, he's the muscle of this cult. So that's going to be cool to see. And overall, it was great. It was great. I enjoyed it. I like the progression. There was some little hiccups here and there. Just the way the whole West. I don't know. I just want to see more emotion from him. He just killed his brother. There's something about it, but but then again, some people could argue. I was like, well, he's more attached to Morgan than the crew. Those are the people that he's been with, that's protected him, that's helped him. That's his new family, and he's seen his brother right now. Had flipped to the dark side. Didn't give a shit that he was in Tanktown when it blew up, and was just like, hey, it is what it is. We got to do what we can for Teddy and his views of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So. Whatever. But people, I hope you liked it. I hope you liked it because this was pretty good. Go ahead on YouTube, put your comments down. What did you think? What do you think's gonna happen? Is this cult are they gonna take out Morgan's crew? I could see that happening actually. I could see, you know what? Yeah, I could see that because we need something interesting. And that was the other thing. We know Virginia and all that stuff is done with, and they didn't waste any time. Because as soon as Virginia's gone, poof, now here it is. We got the new villain. We got Teddy and the Holding Cult. You know, the end is the beginning.
One thing I will tell people to remember and watch out for. Let's see what Dakota does in these next couple of episodes. Because she obviously still wants to help, but Morgan says no, you're not ready for that. So that I'll be curious to see what happens with that.
Yeah, like this. So what do you mean? You think that it's not genuine that she wants to help? You think she's gonna flip?
I think it can go one of two ways. Either she's going to do something to prove her loyalty to Morgan's group, or she's going to turn on them.
All right.
Yeah.
And then people put in your comments. Do you think Madison is coming back?
Yes.
Do you think that's a thing? Do you want to see that? That's the other thing. I don't know if people want to see it. I sort of do. I want to see it. Why not? It's always good to see a former cast member, a returning cast member. I was thrilled to see that Daniel was alive. That was a damn miracle. You know, but it was also a necessity because so many of the main actors of the group had to leave or decided to leave. And so they were like, all right, anybody want to come back? I'm sure it was one of those calls. And he was like, yeah, I'll come back. All right, we'll figure it out. We'll bring you back. And that's the thing. She didn't die. If you remember when it was at the baseball stadium, they're all gathered around. She has a fire, this and that. They play the sad music, and then everything explodes. So, all right, people. So that was our discussion for Fear the Walking Dead, Season 6, Episode 11, The Holding. I'm enjoying this season. I love it. It's great. I'm telling you, man, if there was a meter between this and Walking Dead and proper, and they're going up and down, it's surpassed right now. It's surpassed Fear. If I'm sure the people listening to this are like, I don't watch Fear. You're preaching to the choir, buddy. Yeah, well, go tell your other buddies that watch Walking Dead, because we have friends that are like that. You know, hell, there's a member of this podcast who doesn't even follow up on this. He only watches Walking Dead proper. I'm calling him out, Carlos. And he's like, I'm too far behind on this, you know. And I think that's the other issue. A lot of people have slept on this. They were like, oh, well, it's a spin-off. How good could it be? It could be damn good because they don't have to follow the comic. And that's what Walking Dead proper is. And yes, the comic is great and all, but we all want to see something fresh and new. And that's where Fear jumps in. Fear throws that in. You know, so give it a chance. Tell your buddies and see what happens. We got to keep this ball rolling because this isn't going away. The Fear isn't going away. This is going to be awesome. All right, people. We will be back next week for episode 12. Thanks again for following, subscribing over at the Koalition and Spotify. And we are Negan. So have a good weekend, everybody. Peace.